Hi guys, hope you're well. So today's video wasn't planned at all, but it's something I feel compelled to do after the morning I've had, which has been slightly unfortunate, but actually I feel like it was meant to be, because I think this is a really important discussion and debate that we should be having and something we should be thinking about. So just to get you up to speed, so I woke up to a tweet, I'm just finding it down here, saying, in quotes, "I have a very schizophrenic style," by Sophie Eggleton on the Metro today. Schizophrenia is not a style, with the hashtag mental illness awareness. Now, I haven't seen the piece, but it looks like a fashion shoot I did with the Metro newspaper must be in there today. And after the shoot, we were sent over some fashion-related questions to answer that they could then put into a little caption next to our pictures. Now, I would have done this very quickly and just answered the questions without a thought in the world, and so it turns out that phrase has made its way in there. Obviously, editors paraphrase, they edit, they amend things, and you don't really know what's going to end up being in the piece, but that is in the piece, and I'm pretty sure I did say that, and that is a term that I've used for years when I've been talking about people's style or the way they dress. And think about it, when I said it, that other people could look at it in that way, interpret it that way, and then find it offensive. So the reaction to it has made me think hard about, the things I say every day and the things that a lot of us say every day, and made me want to talk to you guys about it to see whether we should be changing our ways or whether the world's gone mad. See what I mean? Can you say the world's gone mad, or is that going to be offensive to people as well? So that's what I'm going to delve into today. So if you Google schizophrenic style, it's a term that is used frequently in the fashion world, and as someone that's worked in fashion writing for a number of years, it's been a term that I've heard and consumed so many times. It's one of those fashion buzz phrases like Fashion Week, spelled W-E-A-K, the little black dress, festival fashion. It's one of these things that's used a lot. I can only speak for myself with this, but when I use the schizophrenic word, I'm thinking of its a secondary definition, which if you look it up in dictionaries and online, you'll see that underneath the first description, which relates to it's the mental health disorder, the secondary one is a definition of a state characterised by the coexistence of contradictory or incompatible elements. Now that's how I'm using the word. I can't speak for everyone, but that's how I'm using the word. And it's a word you'll also see used in conjunction with music and in music reviews. So if there's a band that mixed genres, think of bands like Issues, for example, some people would say that their style is schizophrenic. An alternative might be eclectic, but I think schizophrenic, because of the coexistence and contradictory elements, that kind of connotes more clearly that it's two elements at the same time, rather than someone that will do one song that's acoustic and one song that's maybe heavy. But the problem lies in the fact that for most people, when they hear the word schizophrenic, their initial, their instant, their primary kind of relationship with the word will be referring to the mental illness. So I have to own the fact that I should have been more mindful to that fact, and I should have considered that, and it was an ill-judged term to use in the piece and in fashion, particularly in this day and age where we are quite sensitive to what people say. It's a very reactive community of people that consume media. Like every week there will be a soundbite or a quote from a 3-page interview. There'll be a sentence that, causes a stir or causes an offence, and people jump on that very quickly in this day and age. And I should have been mindful to the fact that it would have been much easier and more sensible for me to use the word eclectic, perhaps. So I own that. But I just wanted to talk about it in general, because I was so distraught that this lady could think that I would use a word in that way and cause offence or want to cause offence or be so flippant with it, particularly as someone, who does a lot of videos and writing about mental health and health in general. So I asked her to follow me so I could DM her, because I just wanted to explain in full, and I just explained that in the fashion industry, you know, it is a term. I also wanted to make her realise that it wasn't coming from a place of wanting to cause offence or harm, that, you know, one of the true definitions of the word isn't actually related to mental health. And after that, because she wasn't a troll that just wanted a reaction, she wasn't a troll that wanted to be mean to me, she was someone that was genuinely upset by my use of the word. She was very measured, mature and intelligent with her reply, and she took in all that I said and understood it and was very gracious. And actually she apologised, but she didn't need to, for her, you know, initial reaction to what I said. It's not my place to go into her story, but she knew that she is perhaps sensitive to that, and she acknowledged that in this day and age we are sensitive to words, and maybe overly sensitive. I think it's a shame that, you know, some of us feel censored, stunted, hindered with what we say and how we can express ourselves, because we are worrying that things will be taken the wrong way, when really we're coming from a place of no prejudice, no negativity, and we just want to be kind and have thoughtful and intelligent conversations, and even debate things. Debating things is healthy, taking on other people's opinions is healthy, but we're scared to do this a bit now because we're scared someone's going to pick us up on maybe slightly wrong word that's used, or an outdated expression perhaps. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about. For example, when I was younger, the word queer, it was a derogatory term. It was a word that people that were not embracive of the LGBT community, those that were offended by them even. But then other people in my life used the word queer, referring to this definition, which I'll find again, can be used as, you know, strange or odd. They use in the definition here that she had a queer feeling that they were being watched. And I think this is another reason why things can get a little bit blurred, a little bit grey, a little bit confusing, because some people are using the word in an old-fashioned sense, some people are using it in a descriptive sense, other people are using it in a derogatory sense, and it's just like, how do you know when it's right to use that word and when it isn't? I've avoided the word queer for years because I had associated with people that used it in this negative way. But then I've been hearing it a lot more recently, and I've been Googling it a lot today, and now it is an umbrella term sometimes used by the LGBT QA people to refer to the entire LGBT community. So it seems like it is an accepted term to use now, but how do we know when it is used that those people are using it in the right context, in the right way, with the right feelings behind it? Ugh. So it's very confusing. So I think before we react heavily to people or instantly brand them as something, we have to consider, one, the context they use the word, the tone that they used it, and, you know, I don't know, what was fueling the use of the word, which is very hard in written text, and that's the crux of it really. I think when you can hear someone's tone of voice, when you can see the expression on the face, the way they emphasise things or the way they direct it at people, you can see whether they are wanting to cause offence, whether perhaps they've just used it wrongly without knowing. Perhaps they're using it referring to the secondary definition, or the definition that you don't necessarily associate with the word. How many WhatsApps, texts, emails have you, or tweets, have you taken the wrong way because you haven't been able to see the tone of voice and you've misread it, misjudged it, misconstrued what they're saying? And I think that's the big danger. And actually what happened to me this morning, it was really useful at highlighting not only how tricky it is for celebrities, because it's so easy these days to say the wrong thing, but also the power of the written word and how, you know, it's not always easy to interpret it in the way that you intend it to be, but also alerting me to the fact that maybe some words aren't acceptable to use anymore, not because you're using them in a bad way or wrongly perhaps, but just because society possesses them in a way that has different connotations, or maybe it just opens up too many possibilities for interpretation and offence, and it's just not worth using them. So I know from this point onwards I will never use the term schizophrenic style. I will try and find a different way to express that, even if it's more convoluted and perhaps isn't as snappy a title. There's so many comedians I like that maybe go a little bit too far, but I sometimes think it's good to see the light in some dark situations. I like dark humour because, you know, it's so easy to dwell on the negative sides or the negative things that happen in our lives and the bad things that happen to us, and sometimes it's a relief to, you know, see the wacky or funny side of things. I don't apply this to everything. I'm definitely against homophobia, racism, you know, against cruelty to people, but I think, you know, as long as you're on the right side of the line, I think it's actually a positive thing. I want to talk about Maria Bamford, who I saw on Chelsea Handler's show recently, and she's a female comedian who has battled a lot of mental health issues in her time, and she was there openly talking about the medication she's on and just joking about it, and I thought actually it was quite refreshing. And as someone who suffers with things myself, I wasn't offended by it at all. As I said, I found it quite a relief to watch someone talking openly about it and also being witty about it. So as I said, this video is mainly here to encourage debate and conversation below. I want to see where your ceiling points are with this, what you think is acceptable, what you deem unacceptable, and where you think the grey areas are with this. For example, can you say, oh, I had such a mental weekend? Can you say, she went absolutely schizo at me? Can you say, I don't know why I'm doing the accents, can you say, my hair's mental today? Can you enjoy a song called Crazy in Love? I don't know, where is the line? You tell me, and we'll go from there, I guess. Maybe this will lead to more kind of videos about this subject. My feeling is that before we react to people, we should really just consider, you know, whether there's intent or negative intent in what they're saying, and maybe first consider that they might be using the word in a different sense to the one that you instantly react negatively to. I personally know I find it hard to keep up with what is the acceptable words to use. And I know my parents find it even harder because they're not on social media, so they don't know what is deemed offensive. So I think that's a very valid thing to point out, that it is hard to know what is deemed the acceptable words, because I would absolutely hate it if anyone thought I was racist or homophobic, because that couldn't be furthest from the truth. And obviously I'm so, you know, embarrassed and devastated that anyone thinks that I could, you know, do anything to kind of harm the already very stigmaed, that's not a word, you know, it's hot, mental health's a hard thing, and I'm really trying to kind of help in a small way, raise awareness of mental health and mental illness. And so obviously it was really like gutting that I did that and that it was interpreted in that way, but I think it was really useful for me to remind myself of, you know, how easy it is to trip up in that way. Part of me thinks that there are bigger issues we need to concentrate on, and so we should channel and use our energy on those rather than nitpicking and being pedantic on maybe just little slight slip-ups of words or slightly frivolous use of language that, you know, hasn't come with bad intent. It's more about seeking out those people that are truly trying to cause harm and be negative and be cruel or prejudiced. Those are the people we should really be targeting and trying to reason with, although many are very difficult to reason with. I wanted to do something positive with that negative thing that happened this morning and encourage discussion about it. So let's help each other out. Let's discuss what's the acceptable things to say. Let's discuss what isn't okay to say. and find a way that we can move forward together that causes less offence and just spreads positivity and helps minorities and helps people struggling with things, and not make it any harder for people. This has been a very long video, but as you can see there's a lot to talk about with this subject, so I didn't want it to be so short that, you know, I just scratched the surface. But yeah, put your thoughts below, let's talk about this. I apologise again if I did cause offence, and lots of love, always wanting to spread love and positivity and trying to talk about these subjects. Until the next one, take care, and I'll see you soon.